All right, welcome in everybody. Today we are ranking the 12 teams in the Players Only Podcast Dynasty Best Ball League. We just got done with the draft a few days ago. This is a 1.75 tight end premium, regular PPR, no point per carry, regular scoring. Austin's going to give us our 12 teams, top to bottom. So I guess for this ranking, are you ranking like overall roster in your opinion? Are you ranking like where you think they're going to place this year?
Uh,
What,
so
what were
I'm
you thinking?
going, so I'm going off of our league rules, right? So to win our league, you have to win three championships. So the odds of you winning three championships, just period, and then what your roster is currently at, as far as like what you got for future picks at this current time. Obviously, there's quite a bit of factors that play into that. There is a little bit of bias here, just because there's certain players that I don't personally like for fantasy football. So that kind of plays into that a little bit as well. But there's a lot of other factors too that we'll get into, especially with one team in particular. And and yeah, but to kind of start off though, we'll say one of two things. First, if you want to play with us, definitely hop in the Discord. We do have another big dynasty league that we want to fill up here before our season begins. And then we'll also have some redrafts kicking up here in the month of August. So best way to get in on one of these is to hit us up in Discord and go from there. The other thing, for those in this league that are going to be watching this, hey, if you don't like your ranking, one, either make your team better or prove me wrong and win a championship. But look, this is my our thoughts for the most part on what your team looks like, how it looks like in the future. And hey, if you don't like it, then prove us wrong. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, exactly.
But we've been playing this for quite a few years. At least one of us has won multiple championships, and I've always gotten very close. uh, for the most part, we always know more or less what we're talking about. I always hit pretty high with the rookies. My win percentage on rookies is extremely high compared to most people, and obviously, you know what you're doing when it comes to the later ends of the leagues, especially. So, for the most part, we know what we're talking about. So, and unfortunately, at number 12, to kind of get started here, is Tampa Tom. Look, this is an auto draft team, so you already know he's in trouble. He was there for the first two picks, and that was it, right? He has a lot of players that are on the same team, so bye weeks are going to be a little bit of a bitch, especially because Arizona, he's got like four or five Arizona Cardinals. Uh, Deshaun Watson, a lot of people believe that he's going to come back after the absolutely awful season he had last year. I'm not a believer in him. Personally, I don't think the Browns are very good right now as it is anyway. McCaffrey, you'll always have that run in if he's probably going to get hurt. And then he's got older players. So, he could make a decent run middle of the year as long as his players stay healthy. Will he win a championship? I doubt it. And then he's kind of a troll, so we'll see if he even stays for the next year to pick his rookies, or if we have to kick him. So that one's more of the easy 12, and he's probably going to be gone next year anyway. So,
So
uh, your
looking over
thoughts?
this, yeah, looking over this team, not a lot of firepower at receiver, and that is scary. Has way
Yep.
too many running backs. Like when one of your best receivers is Kadarius Tony, you know you just know you're screwed.
Yep.
You got Delvin Cook on here, not gonna play. Or I mean, if he's not on a team, he's just a zero every single week in best ball, so that's a waste.
Yep.
Uh, Tight end premium league, Juwan Johnson, did well last season, but new quarterback. They brought in Foster Monroe over from the Raiders, so
Yep.
little nervous there. Again, who else does he have for tight end? Hunter Henry, trash. Logan Thomas, old.
Yep.
Elijah Higgins, that guy was like a 6 or 7 round pick. Mike Gesicki, trash. It's like every
Yeah,
year
there's
there's
not a
always so
lot of
much
upside.
hype. Right, so this whole bench is really just going to be like a lot of zeros. um, he
Yeah.
took Russ, I remember, yeah, 601, too early.
Yep.
So it's like receiver, or I mean running back, yeah, he'll slam, but every other position, eh. Now I do like Deshaun more than you,
Yep.
um, but right, he's still got to come out and prove it, and
Yep.
just Deshaun and running backs isn't going to carry you very far. So yeah,
Especially with the running back situation, what it is right now.
he's got a lot of work to do. I'll put it that way. He
Yep.
needs to get some. He needs to trade for some receivers like right away if he wants a chance this season.
Yep. And then for number 11, I have the brick wall. Every wall, whatever. The reason I have him at 11 is as far as future picks, he has literally nothing. As of right now in 2024, he has a 3 and a 4. 2025, he doesn't have a first. He's going to be struggling there as far as rookies go. Now he does have Lamar, which is good.
Yeah.
But he's got Charbonnet, who's having some issues. DK, I'm not a huge with Gino there, and then who knows what they're gonna have for quarterback of the future? We don't know. Garrett Wilson, he is currently hurt at training camp, but should only be out for a couple weeks. But we'll see. I'm not as high on him as most people, but that's fine. The two players that I do like that he has though, Olave, who's just coming in for his second year, looks like he could have really good upside, but we'll see. Still hasn't really proved it yet. And then Zay Flowers, we're hearing really, really good things out of training camp as far as that, but still, we need to see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then he's got Brock Purdy right now as his second quarterback. Not great. And then he's got Pickett, also not great. I don't mind the flyer on Pickett because you never know. But when you also have Purdy there, it's not really a good look. So and then kind of dive into more. He's got Kareem Hunt, who's not currently on a team. Nobody's even really looking at him right now, so I don't think he'll have a job. Granted, he needs to drop a couple players. Looks like 4 before the start of week 1. So I'm sure that'll be somebody that gets dropped. The one thing that I do like is he does also have Huntley on his bench. Good to have the backup of your main quarterback. So can't fault him for that. But overall, it's a bunch of no names. So your thoughts?
Yeah. So first thing that jumped out, I was like, oh man, yeah, this guy's got Charbonnet. He's already got the shoulder problem. Walker, I'm a little nervous actually, long term here. Now that he's got another groin surgery problem after having surgery. The good thing he did was take Kenny McIntosh. So again, he's got also the backup running back to Charbonnet, or right now the starter in Seattle. Put him on the trade block though, which I don't know, man. I would just hold on to him. Looking at his bench, okay, Foster Monroe. Not a lot of other people stand out. Stephen Bennett, sure, I kind of like him, later round quarterback, but I thought round 18, he should have been in the 20s. But otherwise, yeah, he's not the most top heavy in our league,
Yeah.
but he is kind of top heavy. Lamar, I like Garrett Wilson and Olave a lot. Those were his second round picks. And then
the main thing that scares me is the future of his team. He doesn't really have one as far as picks go, and then he's got a mixture of some older guys and some younger guys who haven't proved anything yet.
Yeah, looking at his starting lineup too, Devon Achane and Kendre Miller as flex is not a lot of depth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I can see where you had this guy ranked second to last. Because, again, not the most top heavy, but
Right.
he does kind of fall in that category. You guys like Zay Flowers too. I think he was way too early on him.
Yep.
Lamar's, I don't know, just gotta throw for a lot of passing yards. If he does that, then I'll like receivers going there. But until then, we'll see. Damian Pierce, he's gonna be hit or miss this season. When he was healthy last year, he was good. Just don't really know with the Texans if they fall behind every game. Obviously, they're not going to be running the ball.
Yep.
Cole Kmet, and let me see who else does he have at tight ends. Foster Monroe, I remember.
Hmm.
Tucker Kraft, but that was a later round draft pick from Green Bay.
Yep.
Irv Smith,
Yep. Not a lot of depth.
So Cole Kmet's kind of got to be the guy for him at tight end this year. So yeah, I mean that's where I'm a little nervous with him is the flex spots aren't going to be great. Even the super flex spot, like we talked about Brock and Kenny.
Yep.
But if one of them hits, hey, he'll have them for a long time. So yeah,
No,
we'll
for
see.
sure. My 10th spot, I think, is where you're gonna probably heavily disagree with me. But I have reasons. Ryan Moore, where I think you're definitely gonna disagree with me for having him at 10 is he's got Justin Herbert, he's got AJ Brown, and your Jerry Judy. But as far as when you look at his running backs, he's got Jared Cook, not great. Isaiah Pachenko, I don't think he's going to be the number one running back there in Kansas City. I think it's going to still be Clyde Edwards-Helaire, even though he's not very good. But I don't think Pachenko's all that great either. You'll just get a couple touchdowns here and there. And then, he's got Jason. I know you're kind of higher on him than I am. But we'll see. But then he's got Sam Howell as a second quarterback. That's a kind of a disaster right there. And he's got Moore and Hardman. I don't really like those being in your flex. KJ, I kind of like to hold on to. And Florida, I know you were kind of eyeing those guys, but those are late guys that you're kind of hoping they'll hit. But
Yeah.
we're probably a year or two out on those guys. He's gonna have Valdez Scantlin, who's older, but he's on KC, right? So he's gonna get you some points for sure every now and then. But then he's got Henry Ruggs. He's in jail.
Right.
He's got
That was definitely a troll pick.
yeah, and then he's got Naylor, who's not gonna do anything. Now, granted, this guy definitely has some guys that he needs to drop before week 1, but overall, like depth wise, I'm just like, where's the good depth, right? I see some troll picks, I see some guys that definitely need to be dropped, but I mean, Bellinger, awful, Bourne, I mean, he's got Jalen Hyatt, who I was kind of looking at, but at the same time, I'm just like, ugh. Darius Slayton, who's healthy now, and definitely people in the fantasy world are starting to like him a little bit more right now. But I'm, after the injury, kind of pulled back a little bit currently. But I don't know. There's nothing that really flashes too much for me outside of Judy, Brown, and Herbert.
Yeah. So for me, I can see where you would have this as a bottom tier team for best ball, just because you got to have running back. In order to compete, you got to have running backs. Pacheco,
Yep.
James Cook, those being starting running backs is scary at best. And not scary like they're gonna score a lot. Scary like they might not even combine for 10 points.
Yep.
So anyone he goes against is probably gonna beat him at running back. Receivers, yeah, yeah. Unlike the first two teams, a lot more depth here at receiver. Tight end and Njoku, okay.
Yep.
And Laporta, that's real good. So the super flex, not only is it Sam Howell who who really knows how he'll do? If there's an injury to Hall or Herbert, he's screwed.
Heard.
A league, this deep, you just can't go and pick up the backup when one gets hurt. So
Yeah.
he's probably gonna have to play another receiver again, it's best ball, so we'll just pick who's ever next best, which will probably be another receiver. Which, you only got so many. But yeah, one late round pick he kind of sniped for me was MVS.
Yep.
Again, it's best ball, so most weeks, right, he won't do a whole lot. But once in a while, because it's Kansas City, he'll have that one game where he's got like 8 catches, 2 touchdowns, and right, he'll score 20, 30 points. So, yeah, weeks like that, it's great. He'll be able to slide in, get you some points, which is great. I mean, when you're picking in round 20, that's kind of all you can hope from guys that deep. But otherwise, yeah, I thought it was smart. He stuck with receivers so that a lot of these guys could break out or have that 1 or 2 games this season to help him win.
Yeah, the only problem is he stuck to that wide receiver depth, and then he kind of dropped the ball and everything else, which could screw him with just 1 or 2 bad injuries, which is not good at all.
Yeah. What'll keep him from competing is like the quarterback situation and the running back situation, really.
Yeah. And again, it's not just this season. We're thinking long term. So keep that in mind as we're kind of breaking these down. And the reason I say that is our number 9 spot. I got Evan, who's definitely got some older players with some limited upside. With those players, Nick Chubb, he's definitely getting older. And he's that big body who's, while he's consistent, he's not going to get you those real big numbers. I like to take him for that consistency. But for a dynasty league, I mean, I don't know how many more years he's got to be that number 1 running back,
right.
Especially with how everything's going. He's got your boy, Tyler Lockett, who is always hurt. Kittle is also getting up there a little bit. And he's kind of back and forth. I like him, but it's more when he's hurt, he gets hurt for long periods of time too. And there's a lot of mouths to feed on that team. So it's how much production are you really going to get off of him? Because he's also got Deebo Samuel who's going to want the ball. But the old guys that he's got, D-Hop and Mike Evans, how much longer are you going to have them for, A year? Maybe 2? Then you're kind of screwed there. He's got Jimmy G, who actually was just cleared off his foot injury, but still, how good is he going to be? He's got C.J. Stroud, good to take the flyer for a little bit of depth. This is probably the first team that we're actually seeing some depth as far as quarterback finally.
Yeah.
Which is a little scary. He's got a couple guys that he sniped for me, like Robert Woods, that I was kind of looking at for the deeper rounds. But then, he's got Claypool. I'm not big on. He's not very good. Zay Jones, we'll see. McKinnon, if Allaire gets hurt again, McKinnon's a good pickup, but otherwise he's going to be on the bench. Otherwise, he's got Heineke. Desmond Ritter's the number 1 quarterback there, so that's just a backup. And then Fournette's not even on a team. So there's depth there, but it's not good depth, right? It's the backup of the backups depth is kind of what we're looking at right now, which isn't great when you see some of these picks.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I agree with what you said. Looking at this roster, the championship window isn't closed, but it's going to be closing in a big hurry.
Yeah.
There's so many guys older than us on this team: Lockett, Evans, Waller, Hopkins. Ooh,
Yep.
Kittle and Samuel Debo, sure, a few more years, hopefully, if they stay healthy. Chubb, you're right, is older. So, right, it's like this guy, he could very easily be competitive this year. I wouldn't be surprised if he was a top
Oh,
five
yeah.
team. But after this year, how many years is it going to take to replenish some of these guys?
Right.
And then, like you said, too, he's actually got some QB depth. So, right, it's not like if Stroud struggles one week, like the last team. If Howell struggles, then you're just kind of stuck with him. He's
Yep.
got Garoppolo. Yeah, and then Burrow.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he'll be back soon. So,
right. And the nice thing, with it being best ball, he doesn't have to guess on the second quarterback, right? It's just whichever one does better. Which that he has going for him. It's just more probably going to be about the same. So it's not going to matter too much, at least right away.
So then, if I'm this guy, trades wise, you kind of got to go all in, because I believe he doesn't have a first. If I'm
Nope.
right, okay, yeah, I'm not
first
able
next
to
year.
see that on here, but that means right, you kind of got to go all in because you got an older roster. If you start off slow, like I don't know, 2-6, 3-5. And you decide to blow it up, you got to blow you got to get rid of Hopkins, Waller, Evans, Lockett, all these guys that are 30 or almost 30. Chubb, I'm getting rid of. I'm just
get as many picks as you can possibly get.
Right.
And
Ones,
some
twos.
younger talent.
Get rid of Robin. Well, no one will probably give you anything for Robinson, but just all these older guys, you gotta sell quick if you're not winning. That'd be my thing.
Yep, definitely. All right, number 8. And this one I'm a little back and forth on the placing with, but it's our main troll of the league, Flicks. Overall, his team is actually pretty solid. The problem is depth, and some of his higher value players have some struggling upside currently. So he's got Trevor Lawrence, good. ETN, also pretty solid, right? Kamara, going to be suspended. And your guess was 8 games. And I'm about with you, so there goes.
At least
Yeah.
8, yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. So as far as this year, he's probably going to struggle. We'll see what happens later. Tyreek Hill, he's getting older. We're already hearing he's struggling in training camp right now. Hopefully that's just shaking the rust off, but, we'll see. CD Lamb, obviously, very, very good. And as long as Dak stays healthy, he should perform very well.
Yep.
Kincaid, we don't know. We think he's going to be good, but we don't know yet. Pickens, dude, honestly, I don't even know who the hell that is. So, it's not, he wouldn't be my flex, that's for sure. Burks, Robinson, Herbert, okay. Desmond Ridder, you're higher on him than I am. I definitely wouldn't have him as my second quarterback. That's just me. Odell, older. He's probably only got maybe a year, maybe 2, if he doesn't get hurt this year.
Mm-hmm.
Then you kind of just throwing it up, right? Because he's got Cordero Patterson, he's got fucking Marshall. I mean, otherwise, who the hell does he have? The depth just really isn't there when you're really diving into his bench, man. I mean, he's got some decent players on his actual squad in the top 4 or 5, but then it's like, it's a drastic drop. in talent. So, oh.
Yeah, right. It's kind of that same feeling here, top heavy. Like you like
Mhm.
Lawrence. Uh, so in the world that Kamara is suspended, who else? What other starting? Well, okay, Cleveland Herbert for running back. He'll get some carries.
Yep.
Uh, yeah. So
The
okay,
nice thing is he has his picks over the next couple of years, right? He didn't trade any of his picks, so that he has going for him for sure.
yep. So
But
at RB2, he's kind of screwed. Like the opponent's probably always going to beat him there. Two running backs, CD and Hill, solid.
mhm,
Dalton Kincaid looking good in camp. Um, but again, here's why I say kind of top heavy because after that pick, it's really a drop off.
yeah,
George Pickens, I like. I feel like in the fifth round, that's kind of early. Uh, for him,
mhm,
especially that's weird. He went over Deontay Johnson, the one in Pittsburgh, but yeah, Traylon Burks, I remember he took before Jamison Williams. Definitely don't like
yep,
that. Dumb. Because he didn't do much last year. He was a first round pick. I'm not too crazy about him before the draft, and then he didn't do much last year. Brian Robinson, okay, so actually does have an RB2. Odell, yeah, he'll be good for a year. I mean,
mhm,
or he'll be kind of up and down.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and then
Yeah.
that's kind of about it. This is just kind of a list of names. Maybe Devin
Mhm.
Duvernay. He'll probably get up there with a few touches.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about it with this roster.
All right, and then number 7, I have the Tebow Forever. Um, Overall, though, he has some players with some high upside, some real good potential. Problem is there's just like no showstoppers, right? In the last team, he had Tyreek Hill and stuff like that. You get some showstopper that's going to get you 30, 40 points, a couple times a season. Here, I mean, yeah, T. Higgins, who's, he'll do all right.
Yeah.
Deontay Johnson, he was hurt going into training camp here. I don't know how long he's supposed to be out. Justin Fields, as long as he's in Chicago, I don't see him doing too much. But he's a runner, so as long as he doesn't get hurt, he'll be good. DJ Moore, he's good, but he's not showstopper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Pittman, okay, Drake London. As long as he has Desmond Ritter, I don't see a lot personally. Um, Richardson, I like, but he's not proven, right? Chuba Hubbard, yeah, it's a lot of like mediocre talent all the way down, where he'll be competitive. I don't think he'll beat the median every week, but he'll probably win uh, games. You know, it's just like, yeah, it's just like one of those mediocre teams. He's going to be right in the middle every single time, which I mean, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you're a bit higher on this roster than me. I look at the quarterbacks and
Yeah.
that's talk about being risky. Fields and Anthony Richardson. Like, can you have any more risk at quarterback? And then I mean, all right, Gino. So it's got that'll probably be because Richardson isn't the QB1 there right now. That'll probably be his super flex. In the beginning, receivers you gotta like the depth.
Yeah.
Um, what has me a little lower or a lot lower on the team is the running backs. So
Oh.
David Montgomery, I'm not too crazy about. Rashad Penny, I like.
Hmm.
Not crazy about him. Like I don't know really how many 20-point weeks or anything like that he's going to have. And then it's just backup running backs there. So, well, I mean, Raheem Mostert, okay, a little bit. Ford will get some playing time in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. See, I'm not buying into this guy for this year in any way. I think he'll be run of the mill, right in the middle, which will give him some good picks over the next couple of years, where he'll be able to shine a little bit more as long as he can draft properly. It's such a mediocre team. He's going to be in the middle. All the other people that we've done before him, 8 through 12, I feel like they're going to have really, really good weeks. But for the most part, they're going to be absolutely ass. Plus, most of them have already wasted all of their picks. And then just put together a couple high-end talents, sure, but they have zero depth. This guy, at least, he has some depth. It's just they're completely mediocre. So it's better than what we've seen, sure, but it's just like, how far is a mediocre team going to get you? Not a championship.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately. So you're right. Yeah, that's definitely a good thing to say. Is these guys are younger. They're not like the last couple teams where it's like everyone's older than us. So right, if he drafts some running backs, he would be very competitive. Between Fields and Richardson, if one of them can hit, and you can rely on them, then at least you got one quarterback, and then you'll just draft one or trade for one along the way. So yeah, that would kind of be his path to being competitive.
For sure. All right, here's the fun one for us to break down. Number 6, I have Jackson, Colorado Crows. Now, he's at 6 for a reason. Look, I think he's probably the favorite to win this year, barring injuries, right? Because he has some of the most high-end talent of the year, right? He's got fucking Travis Kelce, Josh Allen, Eckler, fucking King Henry, Devontae Adams, who I'm not high on this year because he's got Jimmy G throwing him the ball. Ugh. Yeah. Brandon Ayuk, who you and I both love. Now, his depth isn't great at all for the most part, right? He's got a couple questionable Broncos on his bench here.
One already out for the season.
Right. He's got Hunter Renfrow, who screwed me over last year so bad. Michael Mayer, who I think is probably going to be a sneaky pick, but as long as Jimmy G's throwing the ball, we'll see. He kind of has the same problem that the other teams have as far as depth goes. The problem is that the rest of his actual starters are as high up as you can go. There's basically a lot of like the first, second rounders that you would get in a redraft league. He has them. So he's going to be scary to face this year. Next year, though, he's going to be kind of a non-factor because motherfucker has no picks for the next 2 years. So once these guys get older and start retiring or going to worse teams for the bigger paydays, they're not going to be as big of factors as they are now. So, hey, Jackson, watching this, hey, you're going to be real scary, real competitive this year. I don't think you're winning 3.
Right. So, yeah, again, this is like a top heavy roster, like the big 6: Allen, Eckler, Henry, Diggs, Adams, Kelce. That's great. Ayuk is like that mid tier, which again, a deep league like this, great to have. White, I like. Michael Mayer, I like that pick too. This first year might be a little slow for him. Long term, that'll be good. Rashee Rice, I'm not crazy about. Superflex is like his one hole.
Yeah.
Because, he's got some tight ends that can jump up, help out, if like Shad White or Michael Mayer is slow or Rashee Rice. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I don't know if
Here's
he
the
has
big
4
hole.
guys like that. Yeah.
The big hole is quarterback. Look, he's got Josh Allen, probably one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But then after that, he's got Trask. And then he's got Jaron Hall, who's not going to play unless Kirk Cousins gets hurt. And personally, I'd rather have a good quarterback in my super flex because I'm almost guaranteed 20 points there.
Yeah.
Now he's going to be playing with 10 to 15 on the higher end for that super flex spot. Now, he sacrificed those spots to get those older, higher end talents, but I don't know if it's going to be worth it in the long run. I'd rather have a quarterback for the next couple of years versus Diggs, who's throwing fits every single year, or Kelsey, who maybe has 2 years left. So it's one of those. He's rolling the dice heavily to get the win this year, and I don't know what he's gonna do next year. So
Yeah. So again, it's top heavy. If he has an injury or two to the big six,
he's screwed.
It's
So
it's gonna be a long rebuild. like longer than the Broncos right now.
All right, and then number 5, I have your favorite team, Doom, on here. The reason he's a little higher than Jackson, overall, he's got mostly solid-ish picks. I know you like Dak, but for Dynasty, he's not great. Barkley, as long as he plays and doesn't get hurt, he should be good. He's got Bijan, Calvin Ridley, everybody's super high on. Keenan Allen is older. But the older picks don't really bother me too much because he's got a decent draft equity. He's got 2 picks next year, and then he's got 3 picks in 25, so he's got future, so he can take the risk on the older guys. Now, as far as depth goes, he has the same problem as a lot of the guys that we're playing with, where he doesn't have a ton of good depth. But I mean, he's got Goddard, who's good. Like Williams. I like Juju, but I don't really like Juju in New England.
No.
Elijah Mitchell, I mean, you gotta hope CMC gets hurt to actually get some decent reps out of him. So, overall, not great, but yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely can be competitive in the long run.
Yep. Even started off with Bijan. And yeah, I mean, I think even this year he'll be pretty. Some of these guys will blow up, and he'll have big weeks.
Yeah.
And just right, some people just play him on the wrong week. His bench really isn't gonna help him too much. Holy cow! He's even
Right.
one guy down. But right, with picks, he'll be able to stay formidable. He'll be competitive this year and going forward.
And then kind of for the surprise reveal here, I know who Doom is. So we've been kind of iffy on what's been going on with Doom. Actually, it's Tyler, my best man from the wedding. I just didn't want to tell you because I was telling him to mess with you a little bit. But he's been kind of watching our stuff and saw some of the players that you liked and so on. And I was telling him to kind of mess with you and to poke at you a little bit.
Oh, okay.
But it's his first year playing fantasy football and whatnot. So I figured, hey, best ball's the easy way to jump in on it, and yeah, so be keeping the drama going that way. So it's been fun. But going to number 4, we have Max Effort. Now He's number 4 for only one reason. He's got Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. The rest of his team is, we'll see, right?
Yeah.
Dobbins, I hate. Najee, we'll see, right? Christian Kirk, ugh. Pitts, we'll see, right? Pitts had an awful season last year. But, he had a really good rookie season, so hopefully he can turn that around. Cam Akers, fuck him. It's a lot of you're hoping that you're gonna some of these guys are gonna turn it around from the couple of years that they've had, but I don't know. But the thing is, though, he's got Jalen Hurts and Mahomes, he's gonna put up almost 80-ish points every single week just with those two guys, right? So after that, I mean,
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
So right, quarterbacks are good. Najee Harris, I'll take. Dobbins, I don't know about his knee long term. So it's hard to be high on this team with the receiver situation.
Yeah.
Christian Kirk, Elijah Moore, your wide receiver too. Oh, how can Greg Dulcich, not crazy about Gibson, Akers. So okay, I mean he'll have points at running back. Points at receiver and flex won't be great.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
And then,
yeah.
Picks wise, he doesn't have any ones, but he's got 2 2s next year, and he's got 2 2s in 25. Are they going to be the greatest rookies? No. But they should add some good depth at the very least. But it also kind of depends on where he places, because I don't know how I'd feel getting the 20th rookie off the board, So, he's got some upside, but at the same time, it's like, what's the ceiling there,
If I'm him, I'm trying to trade Pitts for like 3 receivers, because it's just gonna hold him back so much. I don't care how many points Mahomes and Hurts score if they stay healthy and all that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
The next team that we got for number 3, I actually have my team. I know you're probably thinking I was going to put myself at 1.
For sure.
But there's a couple of reasons, right? Look, if you look at my team, I'm heavily relying on rookies, right? I got Jordan Addison. Where else do I got? Gibbs. Taylor. He's threatening to sit out this year. TJ, I think, is solid, especially for a tight end premium league. He's definitely going to get the ball. Swift, I liked as well. Obviously, that's why I took him. Goff, I don't think he's a great for fantasy football. One, he's getting old, even though I do have the rookie behind him.
Yep.
But, he's getting old. He's getting up there. A lot of people are going to want the ball on his team, though, so he might be good. We'll see. But I do have a lot of the older guys, right? So I do have a good mixture of the rookies and older guys, I think, better than most of the people that we're playing with. But I've kept my draft capital exactly how it was at the beginning, right? I have all of my picks. I don't have any crazy amount of picks, like one of the players one of the teams that we're going to get to here. And whatnot. I have a couple of the Flyers. I'm not big on Will Levis, but he keeps falling to me, and nobody else is picking him, so I'm going to keep taking him. Sterling Shepard I like as well. And then a couple are just odds and end picks. I think Thielen's going to have a really good year this year, but a couple of these guys are just, it's this year, and that's it. So.
Yeah.
So I have myself at 3.
Yeah.
You never know with the rookies.
Yep. Your team, like you said, you nailed the rookies. You got running backs, even if Taylor sits out, which again, I think in the next month here, his situation will get figured out, or it'll at least get mended so that this year he'll still be playing. After that, who knows where he goes. Um, and like, yeah, you were kind of talking about quarterback, and the good thing too with best ball is even if you don't have like two of the best guys, if you just
Yep.
take a few different starters, then right, you only get who's ever the best that week.
Right.
So
And I have
you actually have some
what,
depth
4 or
there.
5, something like that.
For starters, Goff, Rodgers. I think Will Levis will soon at some point.
Yeah,
And
and
then
those are my
right,
starters. I got Andy Dalton in case something goes wrong with Bryce Young, and then I got whoever he is, Hendon Hooker, and that's just if Goff goes down. So overall, yeah, we'll see.
mm-hmm.
We'll see. And the nice thing though is too, I took Rodgers before this happened. We figured Rodgers would be there at least 2 years. Now it's for sure he's going to be there for 2 years. So I have a really good quarterback as my number one there too. So I will take it. Number 2, I have Daddy Dante. I think more or less him and I built similar-ish teams. Main difference is his younger talent is proven, right? My younger talent isn't proven because they're straight up rookies. He's got younger talent that is proven, right? He's got JJ, proven, probably one of the best wide receivers in the league. He's got Waddle. A lot of people are sleeping on him on Waddle this year just because Tyreek Hill is still there. Waddle is still really, really good. Mark Andrews, he's getting a little bit older but for a tight end premium league, very, very good. Guy Moore, he didn't really show too much last year, but out of everything that they're saying in training camp, he's wide receiver number 1 going into the year, which is nuts. Mixon just got his contract restructured. He's going to be really good. Kirk Cousins, he's got the best wide receiver in the league he's throwing to. He's got probably one of the best rookies to come out of the draft he's throwing to. He's got probably the top 3 of the tight ends to throw to. Kirk Cousins is going to be very, very good, right? Overall, he's got really good players. Now, does he have the greatest depth in the world? He's got Schultz, who I like for tight end. Corey Davis is a good for backup wide receiver. I mean, you can't really hate that too much. He's got Baker. And seeing the videos out of training camp, I would be dropping Baker as quick as possible and trying to give him away for anything for some of the throws he's throwing right now. But you can't hate it when you're in the middle of the draft and he's like, when you take him, like round 15, 17,
16.
something like that. Yeah, so, I mean, you can't hate it that bad.
Right.
Trey Lance is going to start, so he's got the depth there. Is he going to be good? I don't think so, but he's got really good quarterback depth. He doesn't have the splashiest bench in the world, but overall, his picks are still intact, so he can pick up rookies next year. I think he's definitely going to be one of the biggest competitors going into this year. Now, he still has to drop 4 players, but I could easily flip a coin and drop probably half his bench, and he'd be just fine. So,
right, because some of these guys are like late round rookies, which
yep,
yeah, no real point. But yeah, he's got one of the better teams, pretty balanced. Maybe a little bit more receiver depth would be nice.
Yep.
But he's got some tight ends to make up for it, even on the bench. I like him having Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. So if one, has a better game than the other, or if Andrews gets hurt, Likely last year, got a lot of action. And you're right about Corey Davis, too. I view him as like a Kansas City receiver, like what I was saying earlier. He'll just have some weeks where he'll just catch a lot of balls from Rodgers, obviously, and
Yep.
right, and then he'll jump in your flex and he'll help you win. Um, but yeah, otherwise, not too much to dislike unless someone
Yeah.
watching this doesn't like Tua as his QB1. I like
And,
Tua.
yeah.
Again, I think they'll be behind, so he'll be throwing a lot this year.
Yep.
Kirk, kind of the same thing.
Yep. Now, after I finished up this list, I hated who I had to put as number one. Now, I have to preface this a little bit, right? Obviously, you're number one, right? I haven't put it down, because we haven't gotten to your team yet. But there's a reason I have you at number one. I don't think you're going to be anywhere close to the top 6 this year. But that's going to work in your favor for the future because you got 1, 2, 3, 4 first rounders next year, and next year's supposed to have the crazy rookies coming through. And of course, if you're in the bottom half, I think Devin's going to be in the bottom half. Max is probably going to be in the middle-ish. Doom, we'll see, right? You could have most of the first handful of the rookies next year, which is scary to think. Now, do I love Jordan Love? No. Now, the pass that we saw that he was throwing today at practice, he could be kind of scary. Tony Pollard, I liked. I can't believe that you got him kind of late. I think you got him like round 5 or something like that.
Yeah, he was falling. Yeah.
Yeah, which is crazy. Brees Hall, if Dalvin Cook goes there, obviously that's going to ruin what you got going. But, we'll see, right? He's still going to be good. Christian Watson, he was pretty good last year. If Jordan Love is good, obviously it's only going to get better. Brandon Cooks, I think, is a sneaky pick. He's older, though, obviously. But he'll catch some balls for you for sure. Am I big on Zach Ertz this year? No. Cooper? No.
I mean, he did finish as like a top 10 receiver last year for fantasy without Deshaun at the backup there, Cooper.
Right. I think but he did better with the backup. Allen Lazard, I like him. I think he's one of the sneakiest picks in fantasy football right now. He's way too low on ADP. Yeah. He was super good last year, and he's only going to be better now with Jets kind of forming up right now. Carr, I like, even if it's just for the next year or two. But do I like the rest of your bench? No, but for being on the bottom half of what I think you'll finish, and then the rookies that you're probably going to bring in next year, it's going to be scary because you can get rid of half that bench and you wouldn't even care. You definitely weren't necessarily building for this year. It was the building for the 3 over the next couple of years. Do I still think you could be competitive this year? Absolutely. You just need the right guys to pop off. And you definitely got some higher end guys a little later than they probably should have. So that's where we could run into some issues where some of those later guys are going to pop off. Then you have these rookies coming in, and now you have probably one of the scariest teams going into next year.
Yeah.
Which is why I had you at number one, right? Because this isn't just for this year. If this was just for this year, you'd probably be at like 9 or 10 for me. But this is to win the actual league. Right now, I think you're definitely the front runner. Now, if I hit on my rookies, you're dropping. But if Addison decides he's going to be a bust or a troublemaker, I'm going to be in trouble, and so on. So that's why I couldn't justify myself at 1 right now. So
Yep.
yeah.
So I guess a few comments about my team, like talking about the quarterback room to begin with. Kyler
Yep.
Murray, Colt McCoy, so Arizona quarterback, even though I think Kyler's probably going to play sometime early in September. That's the thing, too, with my team, with Murray, Jameson Williams. I'll probably start off slow in
Yep.
September here, and then once they come back, we'll see. Like, again, talking about receivers, depth, my bench, Cortland Sutton, Alan Lazard, I think those are two pretty crazy good receivers to have sitting on your bench. Even though again
Yeah.
it's all kind of starters, all kind of one team. So
Yep.
right, in any given week they could jump up there and make a big impact for me. Um, Running backs didn't take a ton. Just tried to take guys that get play time. So then it's like I don't have a bunch of guys just scoring none every week.
Mhm.
Um, Even Jeff Wilson, I think in Miami will play. So yeah, Brees Hall, Tony Pollard, I think two great running backs. Both kind of fell, I think, because they have whatever PUP by their name, so they were afraid to draft him
Yep.
during the draft. Tight end, I kind of went in with the strategy that I was just gonna fade it, and next year I'll draft it and figure it out. Trey
Yep.
McBride, when Zach Ertz was out, he did have one big game towards the end of the season. That was also when Kyler Murray was out. So when Murray comes back and he's the tight end one, that could be pretty good for me. Again, there's guys on my bench, Taysom Hill, Tyler Conklin. I think throughout the season I'll get crazy performances out of. Even Jake Ferguson, the new tight end in Dallas, or this will be his first year without Dalton Schultz. So he could break out. But otherwise, yeah, Richie James, wide receiver for Kansas City. Skronik, I kind of like. Yeah, it's just a lot of guys. I was just hoping, hey, if you can give me a few weeks, great, I'll take it.
Yep. Yep.
Even quarterbacks right now. By the way, I have 4 starting
Yep.
quarterbacks. So right, I'll just get who's ever the best of those each week, and we'll go from there. Compete.
Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's my rankings as of right now. Obviously, if you don't like your ranking, change your team. There's obviously some very valid reasons of why you're placed where you are. Uh, you and I don't necessarily agree on all the rankings, which is completely fine. We have different styles of how we play and how we want to, and so on, right? But there's a reason I put you at 1. There's a reason I put myself at 3. At the end of the day, too. So, and who knows? We're just getting into training camp. There's already injuries and drama and all that breaking out
Yeah.
as it is. So, 1 or 2 really bad injuries can completely destroy a lot of our guys' teams and make them go from a 7 to 12 pretty quick. So we'll see and we'll update once the season starts.
That is right. Anyways, again, join the Discord if you want to play us. If you watch this all the way through, more leagues coming out all August, Dynasty and Redraft. Peace out.